This conference will now be recorded.
Well, I'm Central. Yeah. So,
We're the correct time though.
well, you are probably. I usually have the wrong everything. So, all right. This is the first time we're going to use this real format. I'm going to try to use this every time. We've done quite a bit of stuff to the page for the webinar, and I don't know why all the spaces are there. I've taken that out once. I'll do it again. But the links to join, now we have kind of an agenda so that we can follow. The first 15 minutes will be welcome and intros, and ribbon the first timers a little bit. And then if anybody has any questions that are oncoming that haven't been here before or have a pressing question, we'll get those out of the way. And then we'll have another, 15 minutes. And this is loose. You know what I mean? I want to try to follow. I know things won't, I'm not going to have a timer pop up well, actually, somebody watch the time for me. But
I'll
anyway.
watch it.
Okay. And then we'll do the planned topic or whatever. And then we can have a little round table and kind of, make kind of segue into your after party thing if you still want to do that. Matter of fact, if that's going to be a thing,
It's
maybe
pretty
I'll,
much. It's pretty much. It's going to be a thing as long as I've got people.
so I can even put that. I can put like the water cooler, comes after, and y'all can stand around and talk shop or whatever. So Tommy's laughing. Are you laughing at the structure?
No, man. The structure.
Or the fact that I'm trying to have any.
I just remember 20 years of looking at plans like this, and 5 minutes into it, they go out the damn window.
Right.
And we're just winging it again. But
yeah, and if we do, that's fine. That's the way it's meant to roll, right? So I'm good with that too.
Do you want to try to keep everybody on track?
That's fun.
Oh yeah, I think we got the right guy in there for that. So the links, there's the playlist, and on the calendar now, you can click and actually see if there's going to be a topic, what they are or what schedule.
Oh, cool.
But I made it even easier. If you go down here, there's a list, and I'll populate this.
Nice.
And if it's hard to see that when you can open it in a new tab and kind of see the whole thing. So, we can probably, and if you want to request, you can do that as well.
Very good.
So, we got all that in the works. So that being said, I've already dug into our first 15 minutes. I think you were just talking about how this never goes as expected, but hey, for pilot episode, right? For this.
Well, pilot episode, you covered 2 minutes.
Yeah, you're always
You're feeling good.
Yeah. So I'm Brian, and I'm with Thunder Laser USA, and we have Chris Lacazio. Chris, wave or say hi. He's with us. Just so you know who the people are that you can blame for stuff. And then Chris Myers, the other Chris, is with us too. So they're all in the tech department.
Minimize your screen so everybody can see faces.
I will. Yeah. Sorry. Let me do that. So we have Loco. We call him Loco so we can tell him apart. I think most everybody is on here. Grant's on here also. He's monitoring. He's probably talking somebody up right now, so he'll jump in if he hears his name probably. So the first part of this, if anybody wants, if you're new especially, you want to say hi, you don't have to. We won't put you on the spot. Or if anybody has anything, as far as intros or welcomes, that's kind of what this is for, and it won't last 15 minutes. We'll move on to the next part.
Well, if we're going to harass the new people, like you said in your thing, the new people need to introduce themselves.
Well, they do, but also, I don't want this thing to be intimidating either. So that's fine. But if
Sarah,
nobody
we
wants
have
to,
Lisa.
Yeah. And Sarah says hello. She's replying in the chat. Hi, good to have you. So does anyone have any pertinent questions or things that we need to address or things that you want to look at? Where's that music? Cue the music, Jim.
I still got it on my vest. I still got it on.
See, we're gonna have you running the timer and the soundboard before it's all over with. There we go. All right, that works. So, all right. Well, the topic today was going to be talking about logistics, especially with the Nova 51 and 63. We'll talk about the other ones next week, just so we can say we covered them, and so I won't get, well, why'd you cover the big ones but not the small ones? So we'll do the other one too, but they're not very problematic. Theoretically, the 51 isn't. So Chris has unloaded a 63 just recently and made a video. Loco Myers, Chris has had quite a few of them apart and back together. He knows the intricacies of those, the structure of those things pretty good. So the rub is, and I've got some documentation that we can pull up, but I think the rub on, well, let me ask you this, Chris, first, is anybody else on here that has a Nova 51 or a Nova 63? Okay.
Yeah, I have a 63.
Okay. So let's start with the 51 people. If you have any input on the logistics, the delivery, the good, the bad, the ugly, things that could be improved, that's kind of what we're after. You know what I mean? Just from each person's experience.
I can tell you for me, don't let your wife with the video camera staring while FedEx tries to unload it. She about panicked. And that's why we never sent the video or put it in, because there's a few choice words on there, as my son's running in to get me as well.
I want to see
All in
this
all,
video.
the confidence of the FedEx driver, and specifically for us, it was FedEx that showed up. Now I live in a cul-de-sac, so it's tight. Tractor and trailers have a hard time getting in and out of here, but he didn't have any issue. Back right on up in the driveway, unloaded half of his trailer to get to our laser, and then unloaded our laser. We didn't get the crate picture, because as soon as it was on the ground, he's like, will you please open this up and inspect it so I can leave?
Gotcha.
Wow.
So I literally scrambled to pull it apart while he was reloading his trailer. I had a customer here who, once I got it apart, we used the crate sides for ramps, small little jacks to get the damn little blocks out from underneath the casters and wheels. And 3 of us rolled it into the shop,
Okay.
up a ramp. So minus the only addition I would say, because all I cared about was the tube. Anything else is a quick and fix. If I've got to bend something, I'll bend it and then get back with y'all later. If I got a broke tube, so I would say telling people or an email where to find the key, because you got to have the key to get into the tube. And then, where am I going to find that key? Fortunately, what was it? Zip tied right inside on the honeycomb or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Okay.
that would be the only thing, is a preemptive warning somewhere in the multitude of emails. Oh, by the way, the key to get into it, if you're in a hurry, is right here.
Gotcha.
And our guy did just about the same damn thing, except for he wasn't off the ground. He was actually standing on the lift gate.
Right. So one of the things that I see, and you can see it right here, and there's better imagery of it, but I'm not going to waste a bunch of time going to find it, is that there's nothing substantial under here. There's no runners like there are on the outside. There's no rails that actually contact the lift gate. It's not so much that the machine is too big for it. It's just that it doesn't have bearing here and here. So that's why the 2x4s or the 4x4s can help, because you can slide them under there so that when you take the pallet jack and move it from, if you're going to depends on how the driver does it, whether they have the pallet jack at the back already or at the front, but ultimately it needs to end up out here so that after you lower it, you can get it down. Now on the 51s, there's a lot of big deals made about the delivery on it, and sometimes there are some issues, but I think a lot of it is maybe not some limitations of the driver, whether they're self-imposed or imposed by the company. Or they just simply don't know, and it's not for lack of us showing the information. You know how we are with knowledge-based articles and information. Anything we could give the carriers to help, we're going to give it to them. But you'll see a lot of times they'll put the crate in, short ways, and of course you're never going to get it on the lift gate. But on the 51s, that's usually about it, is where it's teetering on the ramp, and there's not a lot of space there. So what I've seen be most effective is put some 4x4s under here. And I've asked China about adding some, feet to the bottom of the crate, in a little bit, a couple of another rails. And I don't know if they understood exactly what I was talking about. So I'm going to revisit that and see if that would
Maybe send them
eliminate
that
that on the
photo right
51s. Huh?
Send
Yeah,
them
and
that
I've got a
photo.
better photo that's like dead on from the rear that really shows what needs to happen, and I'll revisit that. But beyond that, if they put the darn machine in the crate in the truck the right way, I mean, they can take their pallet jack, stick it to the outside, get it lowered, and then pull it off of there.
Well,
Mhm.
maybe they should write on the crate itself, this side facing rear of truck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could do that, but I mean, think about it. 99.5% of all of these Nova 51s go without a hitch. We never hear anything about it. It's like a plane crash. When a plane crashes, it's all over the place. You think, oh gosh, that's horrible. But how many millions of people get in a little metal tube every day and fly across the sky? You never hear a word about those. So a lot of it is that, and I'm not shirking. If we could do something, and you see it a lot, if Thunder would step up with the logistics companies, we have done everything. We've hired logistics people. We have multiple logistics people that are helping us deal with all of this stuff. China helps us with it. We're, when the majority go just fine and there's that small 1% that don't, you got to wonder, is it us or is it them? I mean, to be real honest,
It's 100% the driver. I mean, it's
So-
100%.
So we're just looking now. Who else had a 63? George?
I have one.
Did you- Okay, David. How
Yeah,
was
I
your-
mean, well, see,
we both
matter
have
of fact,
you said you had a
well,
51?
no, I have a 63.
Yeah,
I have a
what I was
60.
saying, before we
I
get
have a-
off the 51s, there's some other stuff to discuss.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
All right,
So-
Chris, go ahead. And I know
Yep.
George has a 51 also. He may want to chime in. Go ahead,
Oh,
Chris.
you got both? Nice.
No, George has a 51. David
Oh,
has a
okay.
63.
Okay. When you guys rolled the 51 off the pallet, the base layer, did you do it where the wide end rolled, or did you do the narrow end basically coming off, long ways? Because
Talking
the
about
new,
which way it comes off the crate.
yeah, basically, the
Yeah.
front where the handle is, where the back where the
Wide
tube
side,
is.
George said.
Okay. Because the new machine or the new crates have this reinforcement bar on it too, that basically goes the long way. That's another challenge. I don't know if we've got it shown in one of the videos or documents, where you got to get that sucker out too, and it's a pretty substantial piece of wood to remove to freely roll that sucker off the crate. But it also works as a good lead-in for the ramp. The other thing, when I see them unloaded on the lift gate, a lot of the truck drivers, it's scary as crap, but they'll have that pallet jack and they'll just wheel that sucker off till those two wheels fall off the lift gate, and then it just settles down. So, it's
only
part of
way
their
to do
comfort level. And then the other thing is, most of them don't load their own truck, so it's whoever was at the depot that loaded it. If they
Right.
screwed them with the orientation, they're just not going to be able to rotate that crate. I've unloaded, I think, 7 of them personally, and it sucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
George, did you have anything on your 51 that you wanted to add? And then we'll jump to the 63s because they have a few more caveats than the 51s.
So when I was taking the unit out of the crate and I was rolling it down the wide side, I used that as the ramp. It was so heavy, the wheel busted through the plywood.
Mhm.
And then I had to
Like
figure out.
pulling your boot out of the mud, kind of, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
learned that I could be 165 pounds of fury when I go into full blown Hulk mode.
Sure.
So I had to a leverage wedge, leverage it up, get it back down. Once it was out of the crate, very easy to unpack the unit. Everything in there made sense. I thought it was pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
My only thing for some of the larger units, man, it would be pretty cool if they just came like standard with like, hey, the camera's already standard and it's built in, or it could come that way so you don't have to hook it up later. Oh, it comes with the rotary device, right? Even if you have to pay a few dollars more.
Gotcha. And
Maybe
I
even
think,
some options that are newer, for some
yeah,
of the newer models might be kind of nice to say, hey, here, you'd be surprised, I think, how many people, yeah, I'm willing to pay for that. So this way it's already built onto the
yeah.
unit and I don't have to worry about it. Great.
Yeah, thing is, a lot of these people, of course, they're kits. We'd have to take all of our U.S. parts and send them to China, make sure they put them in the right boxes. Which they would. They do a good job of splitting all of their different territories now. Because they make for North America and everywhere else globally. So they do a real good job of having that separate. I think that would add a lot more complexity. And once you add up a couple of heads and a rotary, I mean, you're talking about a couple $1,000s at least. Some people might not really like that. If they say they already have one, it's their second laser, maybe they don't need it, and then they'd have to go through the trouble of figuring out how to get it refunded and sent back or sell it, or things like that. I see what you mean. The camera actually has been talked about making those standard.
Another one would be the dual pressure gauge that filters out the air. You guys have that as an additional option that you could go purchase from Amazon. I would have been more than happy to pay. And believe it or not, I'd probably pay several $100s if it was already installed on the inside of the machine, done and set, out of sight, out of mind. I don't have to worry about it. I'm the kind of customer who's like, yep, I'm more than happy to pay that.
Sure. And I get that too. With the stock air pump, it's not necessary, and only probably about 80% of the people are running stock pumps. So in 80% of the machines, it would sit there not really of a benefit, So there's a lot of nuances there. But I get what you're saying. What's that?
And don't get me wrong, I love my unit. I don't think I would buy any other laser out there. I'm contemplating getting a second laser the beginning of next year. It's going to be a Thunder. That's without a question. Anybody who asks me, I highly recommend Thunder. The customer support that you guys provide is second to none. Everybody at that company truly cares about everything that they do, and I love it. Even this community, you don't find that anywhere else. So, don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing. I'm just saying, hey,
sure.
It would be nice if there were options available that I could buy, and it was on the next machine. Man, that makes my life easier.
Sure.
I got a question, Brian. The community of Thunder Laser, I didn't realize I had a guy within 7 miles that has one. And then there's another one, Michael Garrett, who you sent me down there to check it out. He came up and helped me uncrate mine. I mean, there's a lot of, if somebody's buying one and there's somebody close by, it might be worth contacting the close by guy and see if he's willing to help, because the help was unbelievable. I mean, they made it go extremely fast for me.
Yeah. The community is a huge part of what makes this work and makes it click. Absolutely.
There's only one thing that I would like to see added to these is the pressure monitor.
Yeah.
Built in.
Yeah.
The digital one, just have it built in, and that way it would look better than doing it aftermarket wise. If they would just cut the hole there and mount it and wire it. I mean, it's 2 wires in the plumbing and that thing there. I mean, it's worth an extra $150 just to have that done.
Sure.
Plus, you can dial everything in better too. I mean, that's my next move I got to do to mine.
Yeah. So, does anybody else have any 51s that they want to reflect on, or have any things about the boxing or logistics or crating or delivery or anything?
It's absolutely terrifying watching the FedEx driver get off the truck.
I told y'all.
Yeah, he was in the shop with a customer while I was out freezing because it was January, watching this very, very nice tiny man get it off the truck. He had to take about 3 or 4 other pallets off before he could get to ours, because I don't know, they weren't paying attention when they loaded the truck. So ours was all the way at the behind everything else. So as I'm sure others have said, I missed a couple of minutes. He gets it onto the lift gate, starts lowering the lift gate. It's still, the crate is still on the truck by like enough that the whole thing starts tipping. And of course, by then I had seen the video of one completely falling off the lift gate, like, I don't know, a week or 2 before. So
Right.
I'm with my phone videoing the whole thing, probably freaking him out even more, constantly telling our son, go get your dad, go get your dad. Not that he could have done anything.
There
but
was some profanity involved in that. Again, that's why y'all didn't get the video.
yeah, well, I think I deleted most of the video. So then, he stops lowering the lift gate and he literally is rocking the whole crate. So everything's doing this and rocking every direction till he drops it, that much or whatever, so that literally those front wheels closest to the handle of the, what's it, a forklift thingy?
The pallet jack.
The pallet jack, thank you, are hanging off the lift gate. They're no longer on the lift gate. So some of the crate is actually hanging off. So he's manhandling this thing. I'm like, oh, there goes the tube. It's got to be busted. Something's going to be broken. And I think because I was filming it, he was fantastic. He's like, where do you want it? And I'm like, if you can put it right here, angled this way. So literally at the end of the ramp to this building where it had to go. He parked it right where I wanted it. And he's like, okay, now open the crate and make sure nothing's broken. So then we opened it, and that's where, Tommy said, if we can just know where the key is, because then we had to start popping all the sides, find the key, check the tube, and then we told him, you're good. Load your truck back up and head out. That was really the main thing that was mattered. I annotated some other dents and things on the exterior of the crate itself, but there was no damage to the machine at all, even watching that horrific event.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty surprising what these will go through. So,
has anyone else been asked to open the crate up and check your machine? I was not asked that by my delivery guy. That's why I asked.
No.
Is that unusual?
I think I saw one other person in, one of the Thunder groups who, hey, here's my machine with my picture. I also don't have a crate picture because they were also asked to at least partially open it to make sure that it was good.
I think that's going to go by individual driver and individual subcontractor.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it's a driver that is subcontracted and he's his own entity, then he's going to cover his ass for sure.
Yep.
Well, this guy was straight FedEx truck, everything. But I'm sure because he was, I was watching him so closely and with the video and everything else, just wanted to make sure that, his rear end was covered, which I think is fantastic.
That sounds like due diligence to me. Sounds like what you should be doing. So, yeah.
Exactly.
We need to get to David next.
Okay. Well, yeah, I wanted to make sure that we got rid of all the 51 stuff, and then we'll move to the 63 because I think he's got a 63. David, did you have another question? Okay. So raise your hand if you've uncrated or had dealings with the Nova 63. Okay. This is where David will probably provide some insight too, because yes, the accessories are underneath the machine. And it's not something they can change because they used to not be under the machine and it caused so many problems. They even redesigned the Nova 63 so that the stuff will fit under the machine. So I don't think there's any going back from that. And of course, they've had, 20 years of experience shipping these things that they're working off of too. So I trust what they're doing. But the 63 can definitely be more problematic. So, Chris, since you have done it, which one? Loco. What's your take on the Nova 63?
4x6s, or no, 4x2s, 6x, yeah, whatever it was. If you can put some sticks underneath it, you should be fine. The scary part, and I think we do need to document that, the scary part is it tilting and, at a 10-degree angle out the back. That's scary for anybody to watch. Mm-hmm. You think it's going to fall forward, but I mean, the guy was inside the truck and I was on the outside of the truck with these two 2x6s, mm-hmm. Or 1x6 actually, and holding it up there, and it was fine. It was perfectly fine. So it's doable with a lift gate.
Without
it's gonna come.
a forklift, right? You did
I
not do
didn't.
this
I
with a
didn't have.
forklift.
I didn't have a forklift. We had a standard pallet jack and rolled it up the driveway.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
there was no issues whatsoever.
Yeah.
I used a floor jack to lift it up so that I can get everything out, which was fairly simple.
I have we do have documentation on unboxing considerations for the 63, by the way, and probably something similar to that you did, Chris or Loco.
I actually lifted the
Did you
laser
get
up
underneath
high
the
enough.
metal?
Yeah, I got underneath the metal of the laser so that I could lift it up and get all of the accessories out.
Gotcha. Now this stuff
Yeah,
so
just
far
like that.
is,
That other one.
is just one. Okay.
That one. Yeah,
So this is
actually
yours.
that's my picture. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
my picture.
Okay. So I'll put the link to this article in the chat in case anybody wants to, or you can find it on the website. Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah,
we do have.
and I literally did it by myself. Besides the FedEx guy helped me push it up the driveway, which was an incline.
Okay.
But the rest of it was done by me, and I had no issues, and it was running in the hour. I mean, it's
Okay.
I have an unfair advantage, but
Yeah,
but
you've
yeah,
done
I
a
mean,
few.
it's doable. It's doable.
Okay. And I noticed something else, and I just got another shipment of these. The feet are metal now instead of plastic. Usually the cup on the foot was plastic. Now they're solid.
Yeah,
Right.
I have one that broke when I moved it recently into this house. When I came down off the truck, one of the feet was, I don't know if it jiggled down lower, but it was lower than the rest, and it caught and it just snapped.
Shoot an email to support at Thunder Laser USA, and we'll get you one.
Okay.
That's one of
One
the
of
key
mine
factors
broke
when you're moving when uncrating your laser is making sure those feet are tight up against the bottom of the bed. Crank
Yeah,
them things all the way up as far as possible.
And guess what? We have an article on that too. I'll pull it up and put
we
it.
didn't read that article because one of our feet broke while we were rolling it up into the building. There was a little bit of a lip from the ramp into the building, and we were just trying to get it in, and then ka-chunk, and then we don't use the feet anyway though. So
George asked if he could order the metal feet. I don't think so. These are warranty items. We don't actually buy them. You might could get them straight from China, but I don't sell anything that I have typically retail other than maybe some optics. Because if I sell out of all these parts, I won't be able to have any to send anyone. But yeah, I mean, if you really want the metal ones, I can see about how to get you some.
And it's not going to make a difference.
If yours are damaged, then we could replace them with metal ones. In that instance, probably if that was it. And yeah, there's a picture of the plastic ones, and physically they don't make a lot of difference. I got you. They look better. Now here's my thing. These plastic ones used to break all the time, and that's why I have a box of 40 of them. I say all the time. We have thousands of machines out there, so there's 4,000 feet, a year or something that could go wrong. I have 40, but the plastic ones would give and break and keep from bending the lead screw or the all threads sometimes, because that nut is just spot welded to the frame underneath there. I'm wondering if the metal frames or the metal feet are going to cause it to be rigid to the point where it fails in another place instead of that plastic cup. You know what I mean?
In the documentation, we need to make sure that they put them at least, almost all the way up to the top, because that can catch on anything. Even unloading it off of the pallet, it'll catch.
Yeah, it's in there. I don't know if it's in the manual, but we have a document about it, and it's documented in a couple of places. Now,
even in the email, just before they get them in the final email, when you're the one that's on its way and all that stuff, they should have that short set of instructions actually in there in bold letters.
I think they do.
Crank your feet clear to the top. Yeah.
That evolves, but they do have quite a bit of stuff that they give you. And maybe we need a start page where they just put the link to start, and then we can manage the information that they need. So that might be an option too.
A picture that they put down in, I think, the lower right corner on the front, that I think it describes raising the legs up. I'll have to look at it.
Yeah, there's a piece of paper they attach to the outside of the machine with the or the foot and how to prevent the damage that China puts in there because it was so big
Yeah.
of a deal.
Yeah, that's actually new, and it was taped right to the machine, giving you a little warning. So that's awesome.
Yeah. But who reads those things? I don't.
That's sort of what I was thinking.
You know.
Yeah, you're super excited. You want to get that thing out of the box.
It's a big
The other
picture.
thing that I did was I took my two sides and I put them on top of each other so that I could roll it off.
Reinforce, to get a double.
Yeah, but I went long ways because I kind of figured that the weight would be distributed instead of coming off front. You know, it's got more length that way. So that's another thing to consider is how you're pushing it off of there.
Gotcha.
And with that new cross beam, that's one less thing you got to remove if you've got the space to do long ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So who else had a 63? David, did you have any oddities or good experiences or bad on yours?
Well, you know, the delivery people was XPO, and matter of fact, it's kind of funny. Okay, well, hold on. Dave's talking. Dave Groves got it from a nap. But basically, you know, I moved stuff out of my driveway. I even sold a truck, scrapped it because I didn't have time to fix it just to get it out of the way so I could get it in and everything. And then, you know, they ended up coming when he showed up, the guy's telling me right out the gate that he showed it to me, and the way they put it in long ways. So, I mean, there's no way for you to get it off without a long forklift with long forks. It's coming to a residential. And he says, look, man, I told him before I even left that there's no way I could get this off here. Mm-hmm. And his bosses or whatever told me just he needed to come out here anyway with it like that and just, you know, basically whatever. So, but so what I end up having to do is I end up calling Thunder, and then because I have a truck, I went and rented a trailer because they were like, you could either do the tow truck or whatever, however you want to do it. And I was like, well, if I do it this other way, it's cheaper than doing a tow truck. So I rented a trailer, got a ball hitch, put it on there, and I went to Harbor Freight and got the little roller dolly things that hold up to 1,500 pounds, and I put it. And so I drove it over to the logistics place and had them come out, and I put it up on there. But I put it on the rollers and I strapped it down and I brought it home. And then it was funny because I backed it up, got it to where I needed it and everything. And as I was getting to come down, because of the way the crate is and everything, it got stuck like halfway through getting it off the trailer. And I'm like, oh man, you know, there's no way I can pick this up on this end. So basically what I ended up doing was undoing the trailer hitch and jacking the trailer up. And as it went up, it finally leveled out and it just rolled right into my garage where I wanted it at.
I got you. I know exactly what you mean because I had to do that with on a trailer that was made for garden or for lawn tractors one time.
Yeah. I made sure it had that gate and kind of, you know, bended it a little bit, but you know,
sure.
I mean, it's durable and everything.
Sure.
And so I got it off, got it in there, and we took the crate apart. Then I also jacked up the thing to get the stuff out because there's no way to get it out that way, you know. And then I did it. Let's see, how did I have it in there? It just came in like that. And then to take it off, I did it where basically I went off the side pretty much straight because I had like I said, I'd already cleaned.
Side.
Yeah, I cleaned out my whole garage, and then I also I put scrap 2x4s and wood and 4x4s up underneath it to reinforce it. So it would, you know. And it just rolled straight off to where I needed it. But I mean, it did. I thought I said y'all things about it a while back. I just never followed up on it because I mean, it sat for a while. It was intimidating before I even started messing with it.
Sure.
But like one of the plastic legs part, you know, the plastic piece is loose and it goes up and down. You know, it's not holding anything. It was two of the legs on the. I think it was the right side of the machine. Both of them were like bent or whatever. And so I don't know if it was during the packaging or whatever, because like when I moved it, I moved the leg. I mean, I moved them all the way up before I rolled it off type stuff to make sure it didn't hit nothing or anything like that.
Right. Now sometimes those feet do get damaged before it even arrives to you. If it
Right.
gets shifted or something like that, we do have that,
Yeah.
So
I mean, it
we're not
happens. I
too
mean,
critical of that, So,
right.
but yeah, so I mean, if you want to shoot us an email, we'll get that taken care of for you. That's
Right.
not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, I've moved it a couple times in my garage because I was trying to figure out where I was going to do everything at. And
yeah,
yeah, it sucked. I had to go get it, but
right.
I'd
And
rather transport it myself because then I know I'm not, hot
sure,
dog in the truck or whatever. I mean,
sure,
in support was great about it. They were she told me, she said, look, man, it's however you want to do it, and we'll
yeah,
work with you and reimburse you and everything. And I was
gotcha,
like, you know what, I was going to actually buy this, if we can just take that off of, because it
sure,
also like the tiller, I think had like a small dent or scratch on it or whatever. So she hooked me up with a few things, to
gotcha.
compensate for what I spent and everything. I mean,
Okay,
as far as help on y'all's end and everything, it's been great. Like
awesome.
I was saying, my old lady's son just recently started working for XPO about a month ago or so. And what it boils down to with these drivers, in my opinion, is one, like you said, the driver isn't the one that's loading the trailer at all
Hmm.
anyway. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of the drivers at some of these companies, they work through forklift driver and then they work for a certain amount of time and then they go into a driving program. So they should already know, but some of them just come straight in as drivers.
Hmm.
So it all depends on your driver. And also, you're only allowed a certain amount of screw ups, especially if something that costs a lot. So a lot of them are hesitant to do it because they're afraid they're going to get fired if it messes
Gotcha.
up. But like my guy told me, he said, "Look, man, I told my supervisor before I even came out here, there's no way that because I couldn't put it in
Yeah,
sideways, so
yeah.
there was no way I was going to be able to get it off."
Sure. And I think they do, and I wanted to get Grant's input on this, but I think on the 63s, that is something where you would expect to see having some intervention at some point with material handling. It's a big, unwieldy machine,
Right.
and at least in my experience when I was selling them for the short time that I did, the people that were buying them were businesses, and they already had forklifts, and they already had
Right.
they were in a factory or a building that would facilitate an easy transition. They weren't going into people's houses so much. But
Right.
now that we're growing, there's a lot of the client base where all these are going, to residential, even the 63s. So that I think has showed up a little bit more. Plus the sheer volume. Like I said earlier, it's like plane crashes. You see all the bad ones, but
Right.
you don't see all the good ones. Um, what's your stance on the 63s, Grant? I know people end up getting forklifts and stuff for the 51s, and I still think they could probably get off without it. But as far as the 63s go, what is that protocol? I've seen it on Facebook, where you mentioned get in touch with us or whatever, but can you expand on that since, we're kind of deep into it on this episode?
Yeah, I mean, there's not really anything different as opposed to the 51. I mean, 75% of the time it probably gets delivered no problem, and then there's a 25% where the driver doesn't feel comfortable, or maybe the local hub at the customer's location doesn't have the proper lift gate. And of course, they don't tell us this whenever we schedule them to pick it up from our warehouse. We only find this out when it gets to the final hub. So all of these issues that you're seeing on Facebook, blaming us, like Brian was saying, we don't find out until the very end if they're not going to be able to do it, because they tell us from the very beginning that they can. And FedEx in Atlanta, Georgia may be able to deliver just fine, whereas FedEx in Dallas, Texas has a problem. Why? They got the same equipment, same company.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Sure.
on us that Dallas isn't being able to deliver it when all the other ones can.
Yeah. So, I
And
mean,
actually,
as far as
Brian,
our resolution goes, really. And now also Brian Becker chimed in and said he's got some pictures, and you're welcome to share those however you want. I don't know if we can give you actual where you can share your screen or whether you just want to put them in the chat.
And that's something that I had to deal with my plasma cutter, is they actually tell you to get a docking service from your local tow truck company. And if that's an issue, or if people aren't comfortable with the angles and dropping stuff, this undocking procedure from the tow truck company was seamless. It cost an extra $150, but for a peace of mind to put it on a flatbed truck with their winch cable, and then lower it down onto the dolly, would be worth it to some people.
Gotcha. So Brian's showing some pictures here, and I don't know if you're able or want to narrate or whatnot, but feel free. If not, you can chat with us and we can relay or whatnot.
Yeah.
So
Can
he
you hear
used
me?
the flatbed. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I actually meant to pull up the email to see who was that helped me out, but I remember calling you guys, and we worked through it that morning because I was being told that it was going to go back. This is when that shipping company shut down. I can't remember the name of it.
That's December, yeah.
Central Freight.
What was that?
Central Freight.
Yep. So they were getting ready to send it back to you guys in Texas unless I found a way to get it off. And I had a couple of solutions. They recommended dropping it off on a location that the truck could back up to, and we could actually just take it off on the pallet jack onto someplace. And I had a couple of options there. Thankfully, I had experienced this individual, this guy that had this flatbed truck, had actually moved a shed for me in the past, and very skilled at moving large objects with his flatbed. So thankfully, he was able to come right about the time that the delivery was coming, and he was able to pull it right out of the bed of the truck, right onto his flatbed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what size you guys are seeing this on, but it basically pulled it right onto there.
Okay.
And then backed the flatbed right up to my garage, slid it off, and even to the point that he got it mostly in, then took it off and pushed it the rest of the way into the garage with the flatbed.
Nice.
And like I said, I don't know how many flatbed drivers are that skilled. This guy was like a ballerina with it. He knew exactly what he was doing, how to place everything. He'd obviously done it many times before.
That's really cool.
I had no issues with it whatsoever. It was a stressful morning trying to figure out what the solution was going to be, but ended up being a blessed day. So
okay, all right, that's good info, and that kind of echoes what Loco was talking about the flatbed, and I see that thrown around a lot. So that seems to be a good solution.
Yeah, and one thing that just changed, so we were using ATA for the longest, Brian, Jay over there at ATA, and we're still using him as a warehouse, but he's not dispatching the units. So we went from him to Randy, who's at Global Trans. Randy still ships all of ours, but Thunder Laser China switched the Nova 51s and 63s to being shipped by Coho, who exclusively uses FedEx, which you think would get us better service, but it didn't. So just today, I got an email back from China letting us know that they're switching all of the 51s and 63s back to Randy. The reason why that's helpful is Randy does a good job of talking to our customers and helping arrange them hiring a flatbed tow truck or renting a forklift, whereas Coho didn't do anything.
Okay.
So
all right.
I don't know that there's a solution, at least to my knowledge, to making FedEx or Roadrunner or whoever deliver properly, but at least being able to help the customer facilitate an answer in the end.
Yeah,
and Randy's good at that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good to know. And the other thing about this is I think when we were doing it at first, it might have been through ATA. We would request UPS, I think, residential liftgate for every single order we ever did. That doesn't mean that UPS is going to bring your machine. It might be Roadrunner, it might be Falcon, or it may be Billy Joe Bob's towing service. You just really don't know, because you may be in an area where they don't have a hub close and they farm this out to other people. That's another thing that makes it frustrating. And I don't know, Grant, you might be able to collaborate on that, but is it kind of that way with the current? I mean, there's only so many carriers, so many logistics providers, and I think they farm that stuff back and forth to one another when they don't have a direct pathway to the location, and that can be frustrating.
Yeah, that happens. Like I had one.
They sell it out from under you and sell it to another bank or something, and then they send you a letter later. I mean, you have no control once that gets, once you place the order is what I'm getting at. You have absolutely no control of it other than getting with Randy and seeing what he can mitigate after the fact.
Right.
Is the way I see it. So.
And just to describe the process, the way it works is it goes from China to LA. Actually, we have a warehouse in New Jersey too now. So China to LA or to New Jersey. And then from there, Randy at Global Trans will schedule a pickup by one of the FedEx, or like FedEx, Roadrunner, somebody like that. They'll come pick it up. We get a tracking number. We email it to the customer, and then from there, FedEx has it. And so if there's an issue, it's in FedEx hands. We have to contact Randy or FedEx for them to resolve the issue.
Right. And you
And
do a lot of
we're a
that stepping
small
up to
fish
bat
in the
on
pond.
that.
Yeah, yeah. It's not the funnest thing to do.
Yeah.
People aren't usually
if
super happy when an issue happens.
Amazon or someplace like that got a hold to UPS and said, hey, you know, our millions of shipments a year, you're going to do something a little different, they'll probably listen. But you're right, we are relatively small on the
Just
global.
laugh at us.
Yeah. So.
Well, that's just like with mine. I didn't blame Thunder. I mean, I already knew kind of that anybody that's actually doing any kind of research that's in these groups, they've already seen some of the horror stories and everything else. You should be already having your mind that, hey, it might not go as smooth as you want, and then have a contingency plan. But, you know, it's actually, since I've been coming to the groups and this and that, everything's, you know, progressed more, and y'all have had more and more say on the stuff, and it's more information on, hey, look, you might have to do this, you might have to do that. So I think it's been fairly informative for other people, the new people or whatever. Sure. And but like, you know, just like the driver told me, he was like, yeah, well, I'm gonna have to take it back and this and that. And I'm like, look, man, I've already cleared out my driveway, so what if I pick it up? You know what I mean? I'll figure out, it's here, I'm gonna figure out a way to get it to my house. That's the way I look at it. I look at it, man, we spent this much money. If I have to spend $200-300 more to get it in my house, 400, whatever it was gonna take, I was gonna get it done that day. As long as you have that kind of mentality. And the thing about it is too, I mean, we don't have a lot of money, but at the same time, if you're buying a 63 or a 51, if you don't have money for towing, then you shouldn't be buying that size anyway. You know, because the fact, if you're spending that much money, you can't put all your eggs in one basket and hope nothing cracks in the basket. That's just, life happens. There's always going to be some kind of a little something that's going to run in. You know, every plan that you make is always going to have some kind of little problem with it. It's never going to go always smooth every time.
Yeah.
And the guy said, well, hey, look, you know, here's what I can do. I'm gonna put it back, and I'm gonna put a sign on it saying that you're going to come pick it up today, so that they don't reprocess it. Because if not, then these people are having, and I think that's where a lot of them are getting agitated and everything else, is that they're having to wait another week or
it goes back into the system and starts all over again.
Yeah, they're having to wait 2 weeks or whatever, and they've waited this period of time or whatever.
Sure.
But, you know, like I said, you know it's coming. Be prepared. You know.
Well, you know, and talking about the wait, and I saw another thing about it today, and I'm so excited every time I see it, is that we have machines in stock for the first time that I have ever known, and I think that is fantabulous. So
part of what people also need to realize, you're ordering an industrial size piece of equipment, and even just with, I mean, it's going to happen with any company, not just Thunder. I ordered a planer, weighed 900 pounds. It was shipped the exact same way, and the guy refused to bring it from the top of my driveway down to the bottom part of the drive because he said it was curbside delivery. Yeah. And I had a 900-pound planer that I had to figure out how to get down my driveway all the way to the shop. Yeah. And the thing is, they had those what the heck are they called all of a sudden? Where if it gets jarred, the little
shock
vials
in there, shock drop or shock.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I had three of those set off on the package it was delivered.
You should have returned it.
Well, thank God it was a good company and it was damaged, and they just sent me all new parts out.
Yeah. Well, you brought up a good point, because that residential liftgate, that does mean that they'll drop it at the road. That's all they have to do in the contract, if I'm not mistaken.
That so is any place I've ever ordered big machinery from, it's always curbside delivery.
Anybody, whether it's by giving the guy $40 or just out of the goodness of his heart or whatever, that's getting them pulled into their garages, be thankful, or anywhere close if it's not right at the road.
It's curbside on residential, and if you're a commercial setting, they'll back up to your dock or whatever. Yeah. But if it's at a residential setting, it's curbside delivery only. Every piece I've ever had delivered has been that way.
Yeah. So cool. Now, okay, so I'm going to try to adhere to the schedule.
We're into our last 15. I was just getting ready to tell you we're into our last 15
Thank you,
minutes.
Timer.
Trying to wrap
Something
it up.
On the soundboard, if you would, Maestro. We'll have to work on your soundboard.
Can I say one more
So
thing?
yes, absolutely.
So whenever people are having these shipping issues,
Mhm.
just call us or email us. Getting on Facebook and stirring stuff up, that doesn't really help. I've had several people just do that and never contact us, and we can't help if we don't know.
I
And
will
we want
say,
to help. We want to get it figured out. So just
just
give
to
us a call or
add,
give us an email, and we'll figure it out.
just to add what Grant just said, I know we're supposed to be wrapping up the last 15, but Grant, remember mine? They actually had my address wrong. And Grant hooked me up with, which guy was it out there in LA?
Probably
Was it
Jay.
Jay?
Jay, yeah, it's you mentioned his name earlier. Dude was phenomenal. I mean, he was back and forth with me, actually calling me to make sure everything got recorrected. And they were phenomenal. But there was a stupid situation, don't know how it happened, but my address was wrong. Nobody could figure it out why, but they got it corrected immediately. And it was just through, I didn't go to Facebook. I called, I seen it, called Grant.
Yeah.
Grant hooked me up with that dude. They got it corrected. And it was literally within a half an hour to 1 hour.
Mhm.
It's just
Yep.
called
Well,
communications.
we certainly try our best. And if I don't the whole Facebook thing yet. I get that because people are frustrated. I get aggravated. Now, and I don't know how it is with Grant and all that, but if I see something on Facebook that, say for instance, somebody asks a question on 3 different groups, right? And it's the same question. And I know it's to get the most amount of answers, but here's what ends up happening. Let's say someone has a wrong answer, and that's on 2 of the groups. I'm going to have to go through there and put the right answer out there. I can't just leave the wrong answer. So if somebody starts a thread that needs some attention from one of the Thunder staff, and it just explodes and goes all over the place, we're spending all of our time doing damage control on social media instead of being able to solve your problem, because we can't just leave that stuff out there like that. We've got to make sure that the right information's out there. Just as an example, I know it's different for the sales thing. That's one
Well,
of them.
we're into our last 15. Anybody got any questions?
Yep. Anybody have any questions?
I like people using Facebook just on those things. Reach out to me and I can help you. I can't help you on Facebook.
I know we got some new names in here. Sarah, Colleen,
Lisa,
or
Rachel,
Lisa,
so.
Leslie.
Yeah. Anybody has anything, feel free to jump in. And if not, I guess we'll.
Yeah, I haven't been on in a while, so I was just kind of checking in with y'all and see how things are going. Matter of fact, my nephew just bought it. He's been trying to do some of the stuff that I'm doing. Like I said, I've still got a long way to go, but I mean, I got him interested. He's a vet, got a car wreck, got hurt, basically can't really work or whatever. So he's trying to find a little hustle to make some money.
Gotcha.
But that same thing with the address. They got his address wrong for whatever reason, and he had to fight with it a little bit. But I mean, he got it taken care of. I mean, it ended up being instead of a Monday, he got it on a Tuesday or whatever. But he ended up buying a 24. And I joke with him. He's like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna get it off the ground because he can't use one of his arms that well. I said, well, that's fine, man. I'll just bring my truck over there. I'll put it on my truck. I'll take it over to my house. I mean, I'll run the wire and everything over here for that one too, man. I got you.
Awesome.
I mean, they fixed him up real quick. I mean, it's like I was saying, as long as you get in contact with Thunder, say, okay, hey, here's where I'm at. They're going to tell you, hey, look, find the least easiest way. Because she told me whatever was easiest for me. Me, I was looking at the dollar amount. I wasn't trying to make y'all pay more money for something when I could go do it. I felt like the merchandise would be safer in my hands than just having some random person pick it up,
Sure.
My biggest comment would be on this is you're spending $10, $15, $20,000 with a company. Why would you go to the Facebook community to try to get your problem corrected instead of calling the company itself to get the problem corrected? It makes zero sense to call a community to post something in a community that can't fix your problem in any way, shape, or form. Call Grant or one of the other people that's there at Thunder, and they will get your problem resolved.
Yeah, social media solves all problems, man. Why is there a helicopter flying above my neighborhood? I gotta find out. A cop drove by, no lights on, just drove by. Why are the cops in the neighborhood?
Makes
It's
zero
just
sense
you
to
can
me
find
to do
out.
that.
no. Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of social media,
yeah.
did everybody see the new video we put out?
Which one?
Which? Oh, that one.
The video.
The video.
The one that's got
I'll
the guy
pull
with
up a
the
link.
thunder shirt?
Yeah, that's Grant. I thought he was going to send that garage door into outer space the first time.
I did.
It's open.
That was awesome. Yeah,
It turned
let me
out
see if I
really
can
cool
find
though.
It did. It did.
Yeah, I like how I did that thunder shirt was just positioned just right. That was just
I will. Let's see. Open. Wait for
Yes,
a Glowforge
Brian.
ad to finish. There's a Glowforge ad at the beginning of our video. Isn't that
Brian,
neat?
what's your question?
All right.
Oh yeah.
I just saw, and I just haven't fully read, and if I need to, I will. I've been having issues all along, and I've been working through it with regards to I have my direct landline connected to the 51100 that I have, and I still get the reversal of the airflow depending on the project. I did see something about a send, Brian. I just didn't fully read it today. But do you have a real quick synopsis of that, or do I just need to read up on that a little bit more?
I do, and I actually added it to the usual suspects since it comes up quite a bit, because the previous documentation is not quite as clear. It talks about the air assist, but it does, the inversion, but it does some other things. So, and there's even a place that you can you can turn off the start button completely in Lightburn, so it's not even an option. But when you hit start, it's going to stream the information bit at a time, basically, over to the laser and just buffer it. So especially if you're USB, especially if you're Mac, but even if you're Ethernet, sometimes you can still get some transfer errors. This is UDP protocol, so it sprays and prays and hopes that it makes it. So,
and I actually did connect via Ethernet based off of something else that I read at an earlier post. And with the Ethernet, and I meant to say LAN, when I said LAN, I meant Ethernet.
Sure.
I am connected via Ethernet.
And that doesn't, and that is a solution for the inversion for the air assist, but it's not a foolproof solution. The only real foolproof solution is to use send as instead of start, or shift plus send. So when you hit send, it takes the entire file and sends it over to the resident memory of the DSP controller in one chunk. So there's very little chance for the file to get corrupted or have transfer errors or communication errors. It either goes or not as a whole file. And it also fixes the air inversion thing. On a Mac, George asked if we should be using USB or Ethernet on a Mac. Some people use USB, but we always recommend Mac to have Ethernet connection because of some USB issues with the FTDI drivers. Now, back to your thing, Brian. If you want the autonomy of the start button, meaning you push the button and the laser kicks on, you can do that with the send button if you hold down the shift key while you click it. It's still going to bring up a dialog box for the file name and that kind of thing. And then after that, the machine will be autonomous and it'll just kick on and start running, provided that everything is in a ready state.
All right, sounds great. Thank you.
Absolutely. I got a couple more minutes. If anybody else has any last minute questions or comments.
One follow-up, Brian?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Sam. Sorry.
Hey,
don't forget, every once in a while when you do the send, that you need to go into the controller and erase the files, because sometimes it corrupts them because there's too much information on the controller. Sorry.
Yeah, and no, that's a good point, and we probably need to document that too and have that in addition to this. So when you do use send, since it sends that file over in one chunk into the resident memory, the DSP, that memory will get full. If you get more than 99 files or a combination or a maximum of 128 megabytes, which is actually quite a lot for this raw file format, you'll need to clean that out and keep it tidy. You can do it within Lightburn. Let me see if I can get Lightburn to pull up real quick. And if you don't see the file tab, you can go to the window menu and turn it on. Then you go to the file tab, and I don't know if I'll get it to pop on in time here. Let's see. I got too many screens going. I don't know which one it's going to pop up on.
You're on
you can keep your memory tidy in there. Oh, I got multiple instances of it open now. That's okay. Let me. I think it's good. Yeah. So there's a file menu, file list here, and you'll have to. Hey Google, turn on Nova 35, and you can hit refresh. once it connects, it doesn't auto refresh, so you'll have to actually refresh this. But then after you're connected, you'll see the files, and it's easy. Just hit delete all, and then you can get rid of your files that way. And then if I need to send another one over, then you can just send it right over.
Awesome, thank you.
All right. Well, it's 3:59. I feel good about this. I like this format, or at least trying to follow it. So I think we're on a good thing. Y'all check on that webinar page, and you can keep track of what the topics are going to be. Thank you.
The organizer.
And yeah, and there is an after party around the water cooler. Jim is the host. It has nothing officially to do with Thunder Laser USA, except he just happens to be using this channel. So whatever goes on there is totally on him. I'll make you organizer, and I'm going to put that in the documentation too. No offense, Jim. So.
And some of the things we do talk, it goes to the point. Does some things cover Thunder, some things cover lasers, some things cover other business things associated with the entire industry.
Sure. All right. Well, I'm going to jump off here, and we'll see you guys next week. I appreciate everybody coming on and joining and participating, or not. Even just showing up's great. And we'll see you next week.
Have a good one.
All right. Take care.